Heroes and Vampires. Part 2, Ash Roads. The road stretched like a burned scar across the earth, cracked, blackened, and scattered with the bones of a world that used to matter. The heroes walked in silence, boots crunching over broken glassos and sun-bleached bones, their gear strapped across their backs, weapons in hand. Ash drifted through the air like dead snow. Jax led the line, his steel bat slung over his shoulder, goggles shielding his eyes from the heat mirage. Every step carried weight, not just from exhaustion, but from what hunted them just beyond the horizon. The group kept quiet. Everyone could feel it. The wind had a voice today, and it was whispering, "Turn back." They passed the rusted gates of an old oil refinery just before noon. One of the scouts, a thin woman named Casey, waved Jax over and pointed to the scorched wall of a crumbling structure. It was written in blood. Turn back. The message was tall, deliberate, fresh. Drew stepped closer, frowning. Not a warning. Jax ran a gloved hand over the metal. A challenge. Casey tensed. So what now? We keep moving, Jax said, eyes sharp. Pressed deeper into the refinery ruins, past melted piping, burst tanks, and frames of buildings long collapsed. The wind carried an acidic tang, and the heat pressed on their backs like punishment. Then, without sound or signal, Marco vanished. He'd been laughing with Casey, walking in the rear. One scream, then silence. The group whirled. Casey shouted his name and darted back, only to freeze at the sight of Marco's boot sticking out from a twisted storm drain. Drew ran over and fired 2 rounds into the hole. Nothing came back. Nothing moved. Marco was gone. Jax knelt beside the drain, fingers brushing the rim. Still wet. Still warm. He stood and said nothing for a long time. Then his jaw clenched. They're watching. That night, they camped in the shell of a dead town, what remained of a fuel station and a row of sand-swallowed homes. No glass, no color, just shadows, stretching long and lean across broken pavement. While others tried to rest, Jax drifted off alone behind a rusted truck carcass. Minutes later, a scream cut the dark. They ran, guns raised, knives drawn, and found Jax kneeling in blood, a feral pinned beneath his knee. The creature's back had been ripped wide, spine bent like wire, limbs twitching in dying jerks. Jax's hands dripped red. He looked at them, calm. "Trap," he said. Marco wasn't random. Nobody argued, but they didn't move closer either. Later, just as the fire began to die and the children curled against their parents, Zara stirred. She pointed with a trembling hand. There, on the rooftop, a figure wrapped in black, still as stone. It tilted its head. Then the mouth opened, once, twice, and again. 4 flaps of flesh peeled away from the face like some ancient flower in bloom, revealing rows of needle teeth and something deeper, something cold. Jax's breath caught. The thing turned, and in a blur of motion, it vanished over the edge. Zara clung to his arm. "What was that?" "Something we can't outrun," he muttered. The ambush came not long after. It started with the hiss. Then came the shadows, fast and low, crawling through the dust like predators. Dozens, moving with hunger and delight. Screams, gunfire, steel clashed with bone. Drew wrestled one off Casey's back, stabbing it in the throat while Jax swung his bat in wide, brutal arcs. One of the young men, Thomas, was dragged off into the dark. Another girl, Lucia, was dead before her scream even finished. And then one of them stopped, stared at Jax. Its eyes were silver. It grinned and whispered, "He comes. He watches." A second later, Drew put a bullet through its skull. Silence followed. The vampires slipped back into the dark, leaving blood behind like breadcrumbs. Jax collapsed onto a broken slab of road. A gash across his ribs soaked through his shirt. Zara moved to help, but froze. The wound was already closing. Skin knitting itself together, muscle pulling tight under torn flesh. Another survivor saw. A boy, barely 17. He took a step back, mouth open. "You're not." Drew intercepted him, gripped him by the collar and pulled him aside. "I know what you think you saw," Drew said, low and calm. "But you didn't. You saw a man survive. That's all." The boy's mouth trembled. He's not. Doesn't matter," Drew cut in. "He's the reason you're still alive. You say one word to anyone, and I'll bury you so deep even the vamps won't find you." The boy nodded, wide-eyed. Jax, standing nearby, heard it all. He didn't say a thing. The fire burned low, and the road ahead promised only more ash. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your time and support. If you enjoyed this story, please check out the Cryptid Encounter Stories channel for more gripping tales. And be sure to keep an eye out for the next episode right here. There's much more to come.